listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 223, Glenn Hughes, LA Blues Authority Volume 2, Glenn Hughes Blues, Part 1. Woo! And coming to you off the heels of a Wisconsin vacation, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Tornado Watch Matola.
Oh my goodness, do you have a tornado watch?
We did yesterday.
A watch or a warning?
Watch.
Okay.
Which I was gonna text you about that because I'm like, oh, Nate knows all about tornadoes, but I'm like, so does Google. So it's like, so I guess the watch is less severe than the warning.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Not to one up you, but we had two warnings here in the last 5 days. The tornado's on the ground, I don't know, a couple miles from here.
I mean, this is also, I don't know which one is more the place that always gets a tornado watch or warning, or the place that gets one every 10 to 15 years.
I feel like either way, nobody gives a shit and everyone just ignores it. It's fine. And they just start driving. I've been at work before when we've had to basically be everybody out, there's a tornado, or not out, but in the back, and people are just who cares? It's not a big deal. I'm like, no, there's literally a tornado on the ground right now nearby. Let's not take it to chance. And of course, a couple summers ago, that happened here, and my brother and sister-in-law, went into the basement, and it literally went through their backyard and ripped half their roof off.
I remember you told told the story about it a couple of times. Yeah. And
then my brother-in-law comes out and is comes out from the basement. And he's looking outside. He's sending us videos oh, it looks like it's not that bad. It's get back in the basement. And then finds out later that when they show the actual path that went through their backyard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had one. My parents had just come in town for the boy's birthday, and we had to get them. And my mom has a little trouble with stairs. She's not very mobile, so we got everyone in the basement and got them back up. And then we took a trip to Wisconsin once again, but this time just me and Jen, no kids. The first time we've done that since she was pregnant with Josie, which was
wow,
8.5 years ago.
Wow.
So first time in 8.5 years we've been on it, just 2 nights, but it was a lot of fun.
Good for you. Did you defile any hotel rooms?
Hey-oh. Yeah, we did. We threw the fridge out the window. We lit the couch on fire. We were real rock stars.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so then we got a notice. We were out for dinner and we got a notice. Oh, there's a tornado warning. And I was like, ah, shit. So I'm texting my parents, and they were already in the basement. So we skipped that one. But it was really bad weather driving up. But yeah, we went up to Madison. It was great. And we went to they had a really, really awesome farmer's market on Saturday, and I brought back
well, if it's licorice, put it away.
No, cinnamon rolls. Look at these cinnamon rolls.
Oh, those look amazing.
I gotta say, without any exaggeration, the best cinnamon rolls I've ever had. These are now 2 days old, but I had one for breakfast. Well, I had a part of one for breakfast because it's just too damn big. But look at that. Look at the
no such thing. Oh,
the inside there with the icing is just, oh man, it's dripping like caramel on me. Oh
no, a couple of weeks ago when I went to the White Mountain region, when I was on vacation, and
is that where you were?
Yep. And so there's a small bakery up there that has been there for a few years, and I wanted to go in. And so every day I would go in and get convince Pops to go up there, because his first thing was just hey, let's go up to this locally owned cafe where they make everything and they got baristas and everything. And he looks at his phone, he's like, there's a Dunkin' Donuts right down the street. And I was just no.
Typical New Englander.
Oh, why do you want to go to Dunkin' Donuts? So I forced Pops to go to this place. He wound up liking it. But every morning we would go and get something. And the last day I got a cinnamon bun or cinnamon roll because I saw them in there. And sometimes I am skeptical of cinnamon rolls because
Yeah.
if you don't bake them right or you over bake them, then they can get dry, especially on top and
Hmm.
around the edges.
Hmm.
These were like, I don't know how, like, I would say yours look like they're more substantial, but these were also fantastic cinnamon rolls, like moist,
Hmm.
like chewy, like I don't know how to describe it, like just icing just oozing. Like I saw the icing when you were taking the taste
Hmm.
over there. It was
Oh, it's
nothing better than a
perfect.
good cinnamon roll. Nothing worse than a horrible cinnamon roll when you're
Oh, and
like
it's so
hoping
yeah,
for
they're
a good one.
like you said, they're so easy to ruin.
Yeah,
And
because they can get very dry. But yeah,
I'm
yours
normally
look very moist.
they are very good. And this is like, we've got these Saturday morning and here it is Monday and they're still good. Um like so like usually for breakfast I have something like I'll have oatmeal or like a fiber cereal. Like I'm like really low calorie, really nothing. I'm not like I just usually start my day out like that. Otherwise I just have to take a nap or I have an upset stomach or both. Um but I literally had one of these full cinnamon rolls for breakfast that day, and I just was like, I don't even care. Like I'm just going for I'm going for broke, and it was just so good. I even had a coffee. I started drinking coffee again recently, like
Yeah.
but not every day, just like here and there. So I was like, after 11 years, I decided it's time to just put coffee back in the rotation. Um,
Uh,
but
Why
but
not?
yeah, great trip, Madison, Wisconsin. Highly recommend it. Some really great restaurants. It was nice, and it's
Sounds good.
amazing how easy it is traveling without kids. Like I literally got home from work, and we were like behind on a few things. I actually had to upload the show, and I screwed it up because it didn't post this morning. And I woke up to all these messages. Hey, there's no show. There's no show. And I'm like, God, of all the trouble we went through, and it somehow got saved as a draft. So I just had to
Uh,
like click publish, and then it was immediately up. But so yeah, I was about 7 hours late today.
I know. I was
Um,
first thing, like when I get up and go to the car, get ready to drive to work Monday morning. Like I'll all of my Monday morning podcasts will load up, and so it'll be like, us, Pot of Thunder, whatever, and then Pot of Thunder comes up, and I'm waiting for us, and I'm like, where are we? So I'm like pulling it down to refresh it. I'm like, oh no. I said maybe it's stuck somewhere in Wisconsin.
yeah, I left the podcast in Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Yeah, like so. Fortunately for our North American listeners, especially our West Coast listeners, it probably wasn't a big deal. But for everyone in Europe was messaging on Discord, email, private
Wow.
message. But that's good. That's good that people actually give a crap.
Yeah.
Some people just load it up and listen to it later in the week anyway, so it's not a big deal. But those first thing Monday morningers, we let them down. So I'm sorry. I know that
Oh,
happened once before, or I
yeah.
set it for 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock p.m. instead of a.m. So
Yeah.
it waited a long time. So anyway, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, we're back. We're up and running, and excited about today's episode. Before we get into that, though, there's a few ways you can support our show. One thing is to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Two is you can buy some merch at our Etsy store. You can also become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. Help support the show. All the money goes back into the show, into our rainy day computer fund, and buying albums to review, and potentially getting tickets for concerts, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Yeah, maybe even good quality cinnamon rolls. No, I didn't dip into the Patreon fund for these. I paid for them with my own money. You can also donate on Cash App for dollars at $DPPOD, or support us on Ko-fi. Speaking of live shows, Glenn Hughes in September, coming to the Palladium in Worcester, Mass, September 19th with Ingve. Please let us know if you're going to go. I'll put a link in the show notes to where to buy tickets. And if you're going to be there, let us know for the meetup. And any news on the meetup?
Not yet. There is a place out there that has actually been there for quite a while. That's a few minutes from the venue. It's called Armsby Abbey, and
Ooh.
it's a bar restaurant type of place. But it's I know that it's been up there since, like, I remember going up to Worcester for concerts with like E-Rock and Derek. So that's
Mm.
how long ago. So recently, within the past few years, I think the last time was when me and E-Rock went to see the Dio hologram tour.
Oh, that's right. Which you
Um,
discussed on this very show
yeah.
a couple
I had
hundred
looked
episodes ago.
looked that place up, and I was like to see if it was still there. And I'm like, oh, remember this place? We should go. And we went. And it was really good. I don't know if it's I can't remember back that far if it has changed or under new management or whatever, but great beer, cider selection, some food, whatever. So I'm thinking we're having some people we know are going. We plan to, go with some people. So I want to, call ahead. Their reservation calendar is open like 20, I think it's about 20 days. So like about 3 weeks before you can make a reservation. So I kind of want to get a head count and, maybe give the restaurant a heads up and just say, hey, if we're like a group of more than a dozen, it's like, would you facilitate us, or could we make a reservation or have like a back table or something so we could just hang out and not get in the way and you know do something cool like that. So if anybody's in the area, message us and let us know if you want to meet up, and we'll let you know how it's going as we get closer.
You didn't name drop that it was the Deep Purple podcast. You figured they'd just shut the whole operation down for us. Give us a whole floor of a hotel, close the whole dining room. Sorry, the Deep Purple podcast is here tonight.
I mean, that would probably be like the rest of the Patreon money to secure that.
I think, and then some.
That would be like if I mentioned from the Deep Purple podcast, they might be like, "You're not welcome here."
I think more than likely they'd be like, "What?"
the Who Purple What cast?
Yeah, maybe my friend George Washington here can convince you. The best thing we could do.
But yeah, so
more to come on that. Hopefully we'll be able to John will be there at 12 o'clock midnight, ready to secure those reservations. There's already 7 or 8 of us
nice.
as it stands now. So if anyone else is coming, let us know.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not
record these episodes pretty far out, but this one in particular is coming out pretty soon after it's recorded. So hopefully we have some time to get those numbers.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not expecting anything like too huge, but it's always nice to
10, 12 people max.
I would think at most, just based on how many people are around, and but it kind of reminds me of when we went out when we were in seeing Deep Purple in Jersey and everything. It's nice to have a space where you have a lot of people can go. Like when we went out before dinner, and then before the show, and then we went out after to that really cool place out there where we had drinks and everything. It was a little bit later, and it was not as full, but we're going prime time or before. I've been to other meetups, usually like Kiss meetups, where it's way more people and way more fanatical, but I know that I know that at times the guys that have organized that usually will call the bar and see if there's anything that they could do. And sometimes there is, and sometimes they're just like, yeah, we'll seat you in like a back section or, something like that. I'll
tell you what we can do. You order some drinks and we'll charge you for them. How's that sound?
Nate, you wise guy.
That's about all they're going to do. Actually, in kind of a random note, Stitcher is closing down. I don't know if they have already, but the Gardeau sent me the note, and I'd kind of come across it, but I never really used Stitcher, but I know that people that use it really love it for podcasts. It's going to be shutting down, I think. Yeah, when did they say? I want to say they said sometime in August. Let's see. August 29th, it'll officially close, and as we're recording this, it's the 17th of July. This will come out. This episode will drop. When is this episode coming out? On the 24th of July. So yeah, you'll have a little over a month. If you're going to have to migrate to something else for your podcasts, what do you use to listen to your podcasts?
I use Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, I used that for a long time. I don't know why I switched, but I switched to Overcast a few years ago, and I really like it. It's just a little more. I found like the redesign of Apple Podcasts got a little cluttered.
I mean, for me, it works, especially because like right now, the podcasts that I listen to, I'm caught up on them. Like I don't like, I mean, you can't, for like our episodes, go back and listen to past episodes. You got to find them through other podcatchers. But, for up to date episodes, it works for me.
Yeah. So for those of you using Stitcher, I don't know if anybody, I guess, in our social channels or in Discord, if anybody else has an alternative that they like, let us know. I'm not opposed to switching either. I know a lot of people listen to us on Spotify. I never really did Spotify for podcasts. So probably just because I've been using, Apple Podcasts for so long. I actually I was a really, really early in on the podcast scene. I was, listening to podcasts in 2004 when there were 20 podcasts. Um,
In the world.
yeah, like total. And back then you had to like download them to your computer and then sync them to your iPod to be able to listen to them. And that's how I did it. Now it's just so easy to just stream them and get them. But I remember, if I didn't have time, or if I was late, or if I forgot, or if something went wrong, and I'd get on the train and realize I don't have the most recent updated episode. It'd be so annoying. But yeah, Stitcher going away, unfortunately. It's sad because they've been a big player for a long time. So in other news, there's this new thing where we're going to be I'm going to be setting up our episodes on. It's called Picked Cherries. And I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but they've emailed us a couple of times with links, but it's pretty easy. You put this in it just like any other service, like Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. You just set up your podcast on it. And the thing that's different about this is I think it's got like a social component to it. So like if you wanted to share snippets of it, like, oh, it's a 30-second clip that was funny or whatever, and you could send it to your friend or post it or whatever.
I like
Runar
that.
Simonson can post it with a beautiful view of the Norwegian mountains like he did on Discord the other day with our stupid voices in the background ruining the scenery. Probably the most beautiful spot that our podcast has been played. But so yeah, we'll put it on there. Maybe no one will use it. Maybe the service will go out of business. Who knows? But should be interesting.
Maybe it'll blow up and we'll be getting it on the ground floor.
Yeah, we'll be like the Picked Cherries kings. People will be picking our cherries like there's no tomorrow.
Oh boy.
This right here could be a picked cherry.
I can already read the text coming from Rich.
Yeah.
About how inappropriate that sounds.
Yes. God forbid that we offend Rich's delicate sensibilities.
Oh no, he's just gonna hear that and be like, "Oh, I'm running with it."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's gonna make it even worse than we could possibly imagine. We think Pick Cherries is going one place, it turns it totally even somewhere even farther south. So speaking of our patrons, as we were earlier, at the executive level, coming in at the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakvi. At the Ovis Nakvi, and of course Purple Maniac. Coming in at the 15 Squid tier, we have Alan. At the $10 Good Doctor tier, we have Dr. Jill Brees and Dr. Mike Catan. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mickelstein, and Will Porter, PhDPP. At the $10 Someone Came tier, we have Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, and Better Call Saul Evans. At the Hughesoween by 2033 tier, we have Fielding Fowler. And at the In Memoriam tier, the wonderful Jerry Kelly and his family. Thank you so much for their support. You can also check out like-minded shows at deepdivepodcastnetwork.com. There's a main master feed there where all of our shows update. So whatever's the latest show at the moment will be at the top, and you can search through it. All sorts of bands. Too many to mention. Some of the shows do a really good job of actually mentioning every single show in every episode, and we did that for a while until it got to like about 18 shows. So
yeah, too much.
Like Aerosmith, Black Sabbath, Queen,
etc.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. If you like any of those, etc., just check it out. Okay, I think that's all of our housekeeping that we have right now. Now here we are with Glenn Hughes, LA Blues Authority, Volume 2, Glenn Hughes Blues. Part 2, Volume 2, I don't know. But whatever, it's a very long album title. John, what can you tell me about this album?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe more than you think, because I actually heard it. I bought it on cassette when I was still doing cassettes. Oh, okay. I think I was out and obviously out shopping for for music, and I saw that Glenn Hughes had a new album, and I almost didn't recognize him because I was just like, oh, look at this poser cut his hair.
Who's this poser on the motorcycle?
Who's this poser? But I was like, okay, like I mean, at the time it was just like it was new Glenn Hughes music. I don't know how much other stuff he did or didn't have. It was just I saw the name and I'm like, gotta buy it. And I bought it and I thought it was pretty cool because I thought I liked some bluesy kind of stuff, and it was Hughes doing his thing. So I don't remember a lot of the album or anything, but I actually at first I thought it was like some kind of, because of the title, I thought it was like some kind of compilation.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know what I thought it was, like volume 2, like it was kind of weird, like Blues Authority Volume 2. I'm like, oh, is this like an album that Glenn Hughes is on? That's like a compilation of things, and there were other people too, but it turned out, I guess, to be a solo album of his. Like it was the one where he was back, so to speak, like where he cleaned up, and this was his return to recording albums. At least that's what I remember reading and hearing about it. But yeah, so the title was confusing, but nonetheless, I remember moderately enjoying it.
All right.
How about you?
I am 99.9% sure that I've never heard this album. So definitely interesting for me. Like it's one of those ones that I've seen kicked around. For whatever reason, I probably just wasn't able to track it down on CD, and I don't know. I don't think I was super familiar with it at the time, and I don't know, for whatever reason it never kind of crossed my path. I never listened to it. But the interesting thing is there is an LA Blues Authority Volume 1, and it is a compilation. And some of the same people were involved in this one, the same executive producer. So I think they were trying to kind of make something happen. And this was Volume 2. I don't know why this ended up just being kind of a Glenn Hughes solo album and why the other one was a various artists, although there are a lot of various artists on this one. I don't know if it's just one of those things where they started off with an idea and then it just ended up Glenn Hughes singing on every track. But the first volume looks like almost like it would be a little heavier, because it's got a lot of metal folks and hard rock guys on it. It's got James Lomenzo, Zach Wilde, Phil Soussan, Brad Gillis, Steve Lukather, Richie Kotzen, Stu Ham, Pat Thrall and Glenn Hughes are on one of the tracks. Kevin Dubrow doing vocals. George Lynch. So yeah, it's a pretty good. Paul Gilbert. It's a pretty good lineup.
Sounds would be like a little more like glam rockers doing blues, because the LA Blues Authority, I mean, that's right in the name there. But I wonder if I mean, I don't remember anybody who was on this album except Hughes, but I mean, did he maybe have a different backing band for each track, or get a bunch of like rotating guest musicians, kind of like the Iommi solo album where he was the constant, but there were other people and maybe they meant it to be that kind of thing, like, and he just wound up being on all of it and they called it a Hughes album.
I don't know if it's just because Glenn Hughes ended up singing every song, so it was probably just like, well, let's make this a Glenn Hughes thing, but who knows why that decision was made. But this one is not quite as varied as the last one, but there are a lot of rotating casts of characters on this one. So for starters, obviously you've got Glenn Hughes on bass and vocals. You've got Tony Franklin on bass. He plays bass on quite a few tracks. So obviously we know him from The Firm. He played with David Gilmour, Jimmy Page, Gary Hoey, Blue Murder with John Sykes. Drums, Gary Ferguson. So he worked with Billy Preston, Eddie Money, Hughes Thrall. He did drums on the Hughes Thrall album. Keyboards, Mark Jordan, who played with a lot of folks. He did like a lot of country stuff like Link Ray, Bonnie Raitt, but he also played with Van Morrison, Buddy Guy, Dave Mason, Sammy Hagar. A rhythm guitar, Craig Erickson. Um, he's got a bunch of solo albums. A guitarist from Iowa. Interesting, like the Gary Ferguson and Craig Erickson. I like was reading it quick, and I thought it said Craig Ferguson. I thought, and I know Craig Ferguson was a musician. Like I think he was in a punk band before he went into comedy. And I was like, wait a second, is this like a collaboration with Craig Ferguson? This would be amazing, but it is not. And then additionally, so for on the technical side, they've got Steve Fontano is doing the production. He was the executive producer as I'm sorry, there was an executive producer as well, but Steve Fontano being the producer with Glenn Hughes, he did that first album, and you'll see a lot of folks. He worked with Racer X, hence the Paul Gilbert connection. He did a bunch of stuff with Cacophony, Marty Friedman and Jason Becker's group.
Yeah.
He worked with Cher, Pat Travers, UFO, Marty Friedman solo, and he was an engineer and producer on your one of your favorite albums, one of your favorite albums by Wasp that you brought into your Catholic high school to be played.
Oh boy.
Executive producer Ken Ciancimino. He only has a few credits on Discogs, but do you want to know what one of them is of the 4 or 5 credits he's got?
What?
I'll give you a hint. It's another Glenn Hughes album.
I mean, I don't know. What, his first one?
Let's just say it's a Glenn Hughes album you might like to listen to while you're drinking some eggnog, sitting by the fire.
The Christmas album.
Yep, he was the producer on the Christmas album, the executive producer. And then the co-producer Mike Varney also worked on your favorite Wasp album. Also worked with Cacophony, Richie Kotzen. So yeah, some interesting pedigree here.
Some names attached to this.
A lot of names and a lot of connections to Cacophony. I remember Cacophony was. I remember Paul had the Cacophony album. Two of them, I think. One of them is like it's got one of his favorite songs is Savage. You remember
Savage.
that one? Savage. I'm a savage.
I don't know.
In the night.
I don't remember a lot of Cacophony, to be honest, but
it was mostly but like
that's probably why.
They got generic. They always had like some generic drummer and generic singer on their albums. Although I think their first one might have been with no music. Or no singer. It was one of those things that's like, this music doesn't need a singer. You don't need lyrics. Just do sweep arpeggios.
Yeah, for 72 minutes or whatever. And
hopefully, I don't think they were quite that long, but
just be done with it.
Your fingers would fall off. Yeah, so there's not a ton of info out there on this one that I can find. It's very much glossed over when he in his books and stuff. It's one of those kind of albums that doesn't anyway, I'm not familiar with a ton of reviews or anything like that. So if anyone's got any, let us know after the fact. Maybe we'll edit the show and put them in. No, we won't do that. But yeah, that's it. That's LA Blues Authority Volume 2. And with that, let's go to the album art here. See what we got over here. And as we talked about earlier, this is the poser that John was referring to. I see. When I saw this was kind of his his George Michael phase. Like I always, when I see him like this, and even like later on, like Addiction, I feel like this is where he kind of linked up with George Michael and kind of matched his style for a few years. And on the Addiction cover, when he's got the super short hair and like the no glasses, I feel like George Michael had that look at that same time. Like it was like keeping up with the Hugheses or keeping up with the Michaels or whatever. But what do you think of this album cover?
I mean, now that I look at it, it looks like almost like it was like a similar shot to the Christmas album. It's like it's him in like a friggin' suit on like a motorcycle. It's not even him like on a.
He pulled up on the motorcycle. He's like, "Okay, I'm ready for the photo shoot for the album cover." Okay, we're done.
but he's wearing a fucking suit. It's just like he's not wearing like ripped jeans or like a leather jacket or anything. He's just like rolls up in this baggy ass like
Well,
look at he's wearing this baggy ass suit.
it was 92, so yeah, you'd expect that the suits are going to be pretty baggy.
But I mean, well, first of all, I mean, I think that overall it's not a bad album cover. I think it's kind of like generic. I think if you took off the LA Blues Authority Volume 2 and you just cut that out
Yeah.
and you had like the Glenn Hughes blues, it might be cooler. But it's like, look at the guys like kind of faded out in the back a little bit. I mean, they're all obviously like metal guys. And
Yeah.
then Hughes rolls up looking like he's going to sing Faith or a father figure,
Yeah, more father figure.
right? Or some shit like that. And it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I mean, the one part of me thought that it was cool though, because it's like, all right, he's trying to be like a blues man, which I mean, I don't know that that's what a blues man looks like, but I mean, he's got this, he's got the short, he's got the brush back, so he's got a
I think that's what
clean
an
look.
LA blues man looks like.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to be an LA album, he should dress like an LA artist, and that is not at the time. That was not it. It's just like he looks like he was like tagging along behind like Motley Crue in the Girls, Girls, Girls album cover shoot. And he's like, "Come on, guys," and they're like, "No, you don't look cool enough."
Yeah, they kind of have that, like, the guys in the background have that early 90s, like, we don't know if we want to be glam or grunge quite, like they would mix up some, the vest with no shirt on underneath it, and the the plaid shirt and the fedora and all, there's all this kind of
Super long hair, but they didn't tease it anymore.
long hair, round sunglasses, like quasi skateboarder, quasi grunge, like,
Yeah, very bizarre era.
flannel tied around. Even Megadeth looked like that in the 90s. Remember they Dave Mustaine would have a flannel tied around his waist. It was just the style.
Yeah. So I mean, Hughes has had some interesting styles over the years. I mean, that could probably be another one of our next styles episode, Glenn Hughes. I'm sure
by popular demand, another Styles episode.
Oh God, yeah, by popular demand, we'd have more people donating to keep us from doing one.
Well, there'd be one person donating to keep us from.
But anyways, the thing that I do like about the album cover though is the colors, because I am drawn to warm colors. I do like like red and like that kind of like orange rust and the yellow and everything. Those are colors that I just
sienna.
Yeah, burnt sienna. Oh, my favorite crayon. And but those are colors that I do like. So I mean, I do like the color scheme on the album. I just think that it's like I don't know. I mean, it feels kind of generic-y.
Yeah, I think like you said, it has that look of, and I think it's probably that LA Blues Authority Volume 2 up at the top. It just has that look of like, this is a various artists album.
Right, and that's what I thought it was.
And if you'd heard the first one, you'd have good reason to believe that.
Right.
But then it says in big, it's a little unsure of what it wants to be. Is this a Glenn Hughes album? Is this a continuation of the previous series? We see a lot of the same musicians coming back, same producer, but so it's a little weird. It never looked to me like, I don't know, I always kind of in a weird way didn't consider this part of his solo catalog, even though it is. I mean, there's a lot of, in the songwriting and all of that, but yeah.
Well, I think it's because it's very specific though. It's like, all right, this is my blues album. Yeah. And then everything else was just like Glenn Hughes music, which I mean, runs the gamut. It can be heavy, it can be soulful, whatever, but it wasn't like, the LA Soul Authority Volume 2, and then the next was the LA Metal Authority Volume 2. It's just like he was
all those regulatory agencies that that preside over music in LA.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's just like that's why I think this one is kind of an oddball in the catalog. But I do remember, I want to say it was the liner notes of this album were like him kind of telling the story of how this was like his quote unquote return to music after like being, messed up for so many years, and now he's clean and he's singing the blues. Which I don't know what that has to do with anything, but
right.
I could be way off. I forget, but
he did clean up. It wouldn't be his final time. He did, have some other ons and offs with drugs throughout the mid 90s, but thankfully for I think 26, 27 years or so, he has been
Mhm.
clean. But yeah, he looks a little bit, he looks like he's taking care of himself. He's a little better, and um, yeah, I wonder if going back to L.A. Blues Authority, it would be great if there was like an inspector that came around, like to make sure you were actually bluesy enough to like, hey, I'm here with I'm here with the city. I work for the Blues Authority.
Quality control.
He gives you his card, and he's just a government regulatory agency. I'm just gonna be asking you a few questions. Just poking around. He's like, Harley Davidson. Okay, that's good. Ooh, baggy suit. I'm gonna need to cite you for that.
Comes in, he's got like a probe thermometer, and he's sticking it in one of the amps. Not bluesy enough.
Oh man. Okay, so that's the front cover. Then we got on the inside, kind of the rundown of who's playing and everything.
There it is.
And then he has his little thing. He says, on September 1st, 1992, I got a call from Mike Varney and Ken. Sorry again. Ciancimino. Ciancimino.
Sounds Italian.
Ciancimino. They asked me if I would like to do a blues album. In the last couple of years, I've received many letters from fans who would like to hear me sing the blues. I thought what a great idea for me to write and sing about the serious changes that have taken place in my life over the past year. I made some calls to some close friends, and they came down to the studio and jammed with me. This album was recorded and mixed in the first 2 weeks of October and is dedicated to all my fans all over the world. This record is just the first of many new Glenn Hughes albums to come. It's good to be back one day at a time, Glenn. And it's he says this is the first of many new Glenn Hughes. I can imagine a bunch of people at the time being like, yeah, right, you haven't done anything since Play Me Out 15 years ago, and now you're going to start releasing albums. But they were obviously proven wrong, because he just started cranking out albums like crazy from this point on. So whether, and that's just solo albums, never mind all the different various artists that he's played with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then it's got, just this, a special thanks to my higher power, talking about Jesus, Christine, my love, my light, my friend, my soulmate. So I don't know who that is.
Who?
Christine.
Christine. I thought his wife was Abby.
Gabby.
Gabby, sorry.
It is, yes. Christine did not stick around, I don't think. And then his parents and all that sort of stuff. So
no. Oh, wait a minute. Christine is his. Wait a minute. Who's Divine Light? Wait. Jesus was his Divine Light, but so was Nan Ball, his guiding light.
Nan Ball was his guiding light?
Yeah. How many lights does this dude have?
He's got more lights than Broadway.
Oh. All right, but anyway.
All right, so yeah, there you go. Then we've got, the CD here, very early '90s looking CD.
Mm-hmm.
Just the negative space stripe. It says Glenn Hughes Blues.
Look at the thing on the stamp on the side, the International Blues Bureau. Like,
what's more regulatory agencies involved?
What the hell was going on in the early '90s with blues? Come on.
This was a highly regulated time before they went in and stripped out all those regulations to make it easier to make the blues. Nobody's making blues music anymore. It's like, how can we with all these regulations? They're stifling us. I can't do anything. I went on stage to do a show the other day. They wouldn't let me play because I wasn't smoking a cigarette. Like, this is crazy. So, you got that, and then the back of the album, you got Denim Dan over here.
Oh man,
Hughes with the boots. He's got so this is more what you'd expect to see on the back of a motorcycle. He's wearing jeans and the denim shirt, and there's even a computer there over on the side, like an old Macintosh.
The friggin' mom jeans are probably like pulled up to his nipples.
Yeah, they do look like they go pretty high.
Woof. Glenn, he's wearing the Canadian tuxedo there.
The Canadian tuxedo, yeah. It reminds me of. Have you seen Super Troopers, that movie? Oh, it's so good. Yeah, there's one scene where like the police chief is like comes in dressed like that, and they say, like, hey, what's with the Denim Dan? What's up with the Canadian tuxedo? And then one of the guys says, "You look like the president, chairman, and CEO of Levi Strauss." That's all I can think of when I see this picture.
Oh, we love Glenn.
So yeah, and it says it's interesting. It says 1992 Blues International. It's copyright 92 and 93. So as far as I could tell, it came out in 92, but he's saying they recorded it in October, so that would have been a quick turnaround, but not impossible. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of that's what we got for the art there. Before we move on, I think it's a high time we thank some of our patrons. What do you think?
Always.
Well, let's go with the core level. Coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the $6.99 new nice price tier, we have Spike the Rock Cat and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, and Charles Meadows. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Michael Bagford. At the $5.99 the nice price tier, we have Robert Smith, Peter from Illinois, and Carl Hellberg. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, we have Zwapper the Electric Alchemist and Knut Morten Johansson. At the $5.55 What's Going On Here tier, Richard Fusey. And at the $5 Moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Allman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Kev Roberts, Percival Frequency, Scott Zern, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Calf, and where is it? I forgot about this one. We got Raf Calf and no, that's the wrong one.
Whatever you're playing, I can't hear any of it anyway, so.
You can't?
No.
Oh, man. All right.
So you're just over here. I'm just hearing you laugh at yourself.
What else is new?
You're like, and then nothing.
Yeah. Apologies to the YouTube folks. I think I did that on the last episode too. I didn't share the audio, but yeah, what are you going to do? So in other words, we got Coyote Bongwater. All right. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. And apologies to you watching on YouTube who I probably just looked like a fool going. I probably look like a fool normally. But yeah. Also have this quote before we get into the music, which is my first album since finding my higher power. I choose to call him God. I used to call him Glenn, but that pissed him off. When Mike Varney asked me to put together a blues project, I thought it would be a challenge, something that I love. This CD deals with my personal demons. It is a healing album written and recorded in 3 weeks. It's raw and it's real. And then he says his favorite song on this album is Life of Misery, and his favorite ballad is So Much to Give. So I don't know if that means a ballad is not a song, but there you go.
All right.
All right. We're ready to get into these tracks, which I may or may not be hearing for the first time.
Yes.
All right, well, here we go. The first track up is a song called The Boy Can Sing the Blues.
Predictable.
Yeah. A blues album with a song that's got the word blues in the title. Pretty heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like the Glenn Hughes that would carry on through today.
Yep, sounds good as always.
He definitely has more grit to his voice than he has now.
Yeah. I mean, the riff is cool, the music is pretty good, but I mean, sounds like every other early 90s band, like doing the blues. Like the way it's produced, the way it's played. I don't know if I would say it's raw.
sounds pretty raw.
I mean, it's yeah.
You think it sounds cooked? That was a nice little. So the first guitar solo on this is Warren DeMartini.
Mm.
Assuming it's coming up pretty soon. Sounded like they didn't plan for that. This apparently is John Norum.
Okay.
Pretty all-star cast.
Who was playing bass on this one? Was it him?
This is Glenn. Yep. I'd say overall, I mean, this is pretty long, so 5.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it is the CD era and a long album, hence the two-parter here.
Yes. I think so far it's pretty good. It's got a good groove.
Oh, it was on the Shrapnel label. That explains it. That was Cacophony's label as well. I like that.
Boo-boo.
And this was written by Hughes, Erickson, and Mike. Hughes has a co-write on every track. I like the fact that, you know, when they do those stops, they're letting the bass ring out a little bit. They're not just cutting it off. So
Yeah.
in that sense, it's got that kind of raw feel. It's not reduced to the point where they're editing all that out for effect. Oh yeah, here it has the release date is February. All right. The boy can sing the blues. What does the boy wearing blue over there think?
Hey, I am wearing. This boy is wearing blue. I don't know why I just did that like Kermit the Frog, but
Oh, Kermit.
no,
that's
Miss Piggy who says, "Oh, Kirby," and he says, "Oh, Piggy."
What do you think, little boy blue?
How did everything just get fours? Get out of here.
I was just dragging the formula over.
Okay. So despite my kind of making fun of it, I will say I'll give it a 4.
All right.
I think it's a good opening track for what I remember to be an otherwise generic album, but I'm hoping that, maybe I'll find some stuff on here that I remember liking and be proved wrong. But I just think that the only like thing that's not really great about it is I think the tempo was like a little too slow, like during the verses, and that kind of highlighted like these kind of like, I don't know, the lyrics were just kind of dumb. It's like I don't like these songs that are just like these autobiographical, like, you know, this song's about me. It's like, I mean, you could hear it. It's just like it just sounded kind of like this lame attempt to write an autobiographical song. Like you tell that he's like, all right, we wrote and ripped these songs in like 3 weeks. Yeah, I can tell this one.
Yeah.
But I think that being said, the guitar solos were pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's got guest guitar players on here, and they were pretty decent. But I mean, I think like the pacing of the song was kind of like that kind of drum breakdown, where that part where you're just like, oh, they kind of acted like they didn't know where they were going with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of like, I feel like it's like kind of a lame attempt to just be like, this is my return to rock song, so, and I don't know why I'm making fun of it so much, because I gave it a high rating.
If I was just listening to what you're saying, this would not sound like a 4.
But no, overall, I do like, I don't know, maybe it's because I have good memory of it, because I remember hearing it thinking like, yeah, this is pretty good when I first like bought it. And I mean, I do think that it is like a catchy riff and everything. I just think that's like, lyrics and the pacing are kind of off a little bit.
Okay. I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
You know what? I'm gonna actually just given like hang on. I just heard myself.
You talked yourself out of your 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna back that up to a 3.5.
Okay.
No, not a
43.5.
Whoa, that's the greenest shade of green I've seen in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's gonna really alter our averages.
No, 3.5. I'll bring that down a little bit.
Yeah, because I agree with what you're saying, and I think like it's like he talking about how he can sing the blues, but I don't know, this doesn't sound that bluesy to me. Like, his vocals don't sound that bluesy. I mean, they sound great because it's Glenn Hughes. He always sounds great. But it sounds like, it's that mid-tempo. It's a mid-tempo rocker that Glenn Hughes does quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, and I also don't love when like a genre is in the lyrics and the title of the song. Like this is the, it would happen in the 90s with some of those more like those bands that were more borderline, and they do like, track 5 is funky funk song. It's like, this is our funk song. They do stuff like that, or they could say this is, they're referencing the fact that the song is heavy or bluesy or soulful.
Right. Yeah, I don't like that.
Funky.
Like something that's too self-referential or like obviously self-referential.
But it also feels like if you have to say that, you probably don't feel like it sounds like that, so you're trying to push it. It's like, this is our funky song. And like, oh, okay. And then you're like, wait a second, this doesn't sound funky. Just because you're saying funky doesn't mean it's funky.
Right. Or just because you're saying the boy can sing the blues, you're like, no, the boy can like belt out like vocals. That's what he can do.
Yeah, the boy can sing, period, but like, this is not the bluesiest thing I've ever heard.
And I think that that's another thing that that we've mentioned before. I know I've mentioned it before, is that like I applaud Hughes for trying so many different styles of music over his career, but some of it just doesn't land because of the style of his voice. And that doesn't mean that he's not any good. And I think it just means it's like, I mean, it would be like if you took Pavarotti and you put him on a Megadeth album. It's not gonna, actually, that might be kind of cool. But
I would listen.
But you know what I mean? It's like if you took an opera singer, or if you took like, like a jazz singer, and they're just used to singing over, vibraphones all the time, and you're like, all right, sing over this heavy riff, it's like it might not translate. And I mean, so like Paul Rodgers is way more of a blues singer than Glenn Hughes, for example.
Yeah.
So
Coverdale, for that matter.
yeah, exactly. Coverdale is geez, I must be in the Ritchie state of mind. It's Paul Rogers. Oh, but
Yeah, I
it's
mean, but you
like,
think of like,
but yeah, you heard like those songs that the two of those guys used to sing back in the days. Like Coverdale handed all of the really bluesy type of stuff, and I mean, when Hughes does it, now there's some of the Deep Purple stuff he covers, and he does both parts.
yeah,
It's okay, but it's not the same.
yeah, it's hard. You know, when I think of blues too, it's blues is so generic, right? And like,
Yeah,
or so I don't want to say generic, but
the term is, I think,
it's
it's
so
gotten to be.
broadly applied. When
Yeah,
it's not like when I think of blues, I think of like Clarence Gatemouth Brown or something. You know, like not Glenn Hughes. You know, like
yeah.
somebody
This is
that's
like
just like,
blues light.
yeah, this grizzled old guy sitting on a porch in like Louisiana, just singing like gravelly voice, and and he's not saying, "Oh, I'm so bluesy. I just got so much of them blues." They're not doing that.
Was that blues or grunge?
Bluesy, 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 bluesy.
But I feel like all the bands though around this time, like the early '90s, like we were just talking about, like the LA bands that were like in that in between phase, they were doing the same thing with their music that they were doing with their look. Was they were going all quote unquote stripped down. So it's like all of a sudden it's like everybody's throwing slide guitars in there, and they're doing their blues song, like or blues intros or whatever. Like I hate to I don't want to say like Cinderella, right? They were like, I think they were legit, like they legit transitioned into a good, like bluesy sounding rock band. And that was always their background. But I feel like a lot of bands started to do that, is like, um, just everybody, they would be like, have more of that quote unquote stripped down sound. And that equated to quote unquote the blues, mostly because everybody could play the blues scale, which
Yeah,
is
I mean,
where
it's
all
all
of like
based on the blues. Yeah.
right metal soloing comes from. If you're doing like like pentatonic type soloing, not like like Ingve type soloing or Steve Vai or any of that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
more like the straight ahead rock bands. And so it's just like, so oh yeah, we'll just say that this, we're bluesy now, and it's like you said, it's very broadly applied. And I think it kind of got watered down around this time because nobody was thinking of people like BB King or Muddy Waters or like actual blues guys.
Blind Lemon Jefferson.
Yeah, exactly. Is that real?
I think
Is
so.
he real?
I can't remember if it's real or if it's like from The Simpsons.
Blind Lemon Jefferson. I was like, yeah, exactly. Wait, is he real? Tootsie Childs. Or was that
exactly?
Or was that jazz?
Who knows?
I don't know. I just remember they just in that Simpsons episode, they're just like, oh man, I have to find it. They were just like,
yeah, I think we did that as a stinger on one of our episodes years ago.
no, but it wasn't that one. Somebody said something about Tootsie Childs, and she's like, that's not good enough for Tootsie Childs. she like referred to herself in the third person.
Hey, if that's your name,
oh yeah, I would.
All right. Next track up is called "I'm the Man," and it's I only know one, so nice.
All right, this is cool. Now, who are our musicians on this one?
On this one, we've got Tony Franklin on bass. John
I
Norum
can
does
tell.
the first solo, and DeMartini does the second, so they switch. I know two I'm the Mans. The Joe Jackson one, and the Anthrax one that was inspired by it. Well, you can like hear him scatting along to it. It's kind of low in the mix, but it's cool.
Wow, that's so obvious. That's Warren DeMartini. Now that you said that.
Wow, very low register for Hughes.
I know.
bass line is great.
He tells you the boy can sing the blues, and now he's telling you he's the man. So, like, right now with these first two songs, he's telling us, like, who he is.
He's gone through puberty between both tracks, even though they recorded it in 3 weeks. It's this smirk on your face. I'm just dying to hear what you think about his scatting along to it. Nice. Going nuts.
Wow.
His bass solo. This is another one that's almost the same exact length as the previous track.
Who's the guitar, the lead on
John
this?
Norum.
Oh, okay. So they flip-flopped it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's Dina Martini is the second one.
Yep, it's my turn now. See, I knew they were going to do that, and that's what I was hoping they wouldn't do, which is do back-to-back solos again. I was a little surprised that they did back-to-back on the first one. I thought they spaced them out this time.
And this sound, I think, is very typical of what DiMartini sounded like around then, because the Rat albums, like in the 90s, he had this kind of moved away from that sound that John Norum just kind of did and was trying to do a little bit more, like a little mellow, laid back, you know, type of leads like this. It's got a very cool beat going in the background, like cool bass line.
Yeah.
Bass line's the best thing about the song.
Yeah, it's very like percussive too. It's just adding to the drums. And this was written by Hughes and Erickson. You keep giving me these sideways looks when he does that. Spending most of the song outside of this typical Hughes register here. See, I was really hoping he was going to end with All right, what do you think of "I'm the Man"?
So I'll give it a 3.5. I had to kind of recalibrate my ratings. I was like, that's why I'm glad
hot.
Well, because like the more I heard myself, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I remember this song as I liked it more than I did, and so I had to back off a little bit. So this one, I actually do. I do. There are a lot of things that I do remember liking about it, especially like the bass in it. I mean, bass breakdown,
Yep.
best one since Pictures of Home.
Oh my
Nah,
goodness. Just throwing that out there.
no, it definitely
It's
wasn't. But
pretty
it was
good.
like, but when I no, I'm not saying that for sure. But I mean, it was definitely good. And like I remember thinking that, it was Glenn Hughes at the time. I'm like, yeah, like listen to him ripping it on the bass. But I mean, it's still cool that it's Tony Franklin. But this again is not. I don't think this is not blues yet. I don't know. Like, I
No.
mean, I think it's cool to hear Hughes do that lower register. We rarely or maybe haven't heard from him.
Hmm.
And I think the guitar solos were ripping. I like the John Norm one better, but I mean it's definitely a metal solo. That it's not like they're not really doing anything too bluesy here. And maybe that's the whole point of the putting the LA Blues Authority into saying, hey, these are musicians from LA, so this is going to have that metal flavor to it. But
Hmm.
I agree with you from earlier. It's more of a this is more like rock songs than it is blues songs so far. Although we haven't heard the dun, 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 or what.
Yeah, oh god. Well, then, God, that would be so much worse. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no.
Or like the 145 or like the whatever the lazy blue shit. It's going to be in here soon. But I mean,
Yeah, I can't hear Memphis Minnie pulling off any of these songs, or Buddy Boy Hawkins. I mean,
um,
this is pretty this is rock.
yeah. And that being said, I think it's pretty cool. I think his scatting is ridiculous. I think it's just it's like I remember feeling it was so much cooler when I first heard it. Now I heard it and it's just like I don't know if it was like just listening to it now, were you laughing at what my reaction might be when he was doing it? But the more I listen to it, I'm just like, this is kind of dumb. Like, I don't know.
when when I was in a band with so our buddy Dan, so when I was in a band with him,
I
he
already
is
know.
just like, the ultimate shredder. And
Yeah.
he's always just shredding and doing like you're just showing off all his chops and everything. He's a great player. And but he would sing too, and that would kind of he's on guitar sometimes, like Glenn Hughes is on vocals. But he's a great singer too. So there were some songs we'd play where I would play guitar and he would just sing. And
Yeah.
when he did that, anytime, like, so he just has a microphone, so he's just like, yeah, and he's just like doing like Steven Tyler sort of stuff. He go nuts. So I almost wonder if it's something like that where like Hughesy is like, well, I don't have to play bass on this one, so I'm boom. He's just kind of scatting around. I mean, I think he's pretty reserved through the rest of the song. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know if it's just that the feeling is like, well, if I don't have uh, anything else to do, then that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna start screaming
he's
on the microphone.
he's standing there while they're playing. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything right now.
Exactly.
So,
um
what do you give this song?
I'm gonna give it a 3.52. I do like it. I like it's a little more up tempo. It's one of those things, like, I kind of think I recognize the scatting is a little silly, but I also kind of love it. um
Yeah, I mean
so
it's fun because it's Hughes, but yeah, I think silly is a good word for it.
it is, it's a little
It's
silly.
it
But
is.
some of my favorite music and musicians and everything is a little silly, and that's what I love about it. We're all silly, John, right? All of us,
Yeah.
in some way.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
okay, so the next track up is called "Here Come the Rebel."
Oh boy.
You don't like that title?
See, here it is.
Oh, I thought that was Glenn's voice at first.
Well, no, now he's like, the The boy can sing the blues. I'm the man. Now here I come. I'm the rebel. Here come the rebel. That's me.
Maybe that was inspired by this picture he rolls up. Look at me. I'm on a motorcycle. This is very rebellious. I'm not even wearing a helmet. That'd be great if he was wearing a big ass helmet in this photo. You can't even tell who it is.
You Photoshop that for the episode art.
Just being responsible. Safety first. The blues authority will shut us down if I'm not wearing a helmet. What is that? That reminds me of like some big song.
No, me too. I just can't place it right now.
Some good slide work there, and that would be so on this track we've got Glenn Hughes back on bass and Mark Kendall is on guitar.
It's from Great White.
Oh, is that it? Oh yeah. Pretty good. I mean, I think he's a pretty good bluesy player. This is probably the bluesiest guitar solo we've heard so far.
Yeah.
With an obvious rock lean to it.
And the riff too.
Yeah. I don't know what that thing. That might just sound like a Robert Palmer song or something. It's sort of like Here Come the Rebel.
Yeah. Here comes the rebel.
I mean, yeah, you can't really say Here Comes the Rebel.
Or you could say Here I Come.
Here I come, in parentheses, the rebel.
Oh, that would be cool.
Here I, the rebel, come. I mean, I think you can get away with Here Come the Rebel if you're like a Delta Blues, Pink Anderson type.
Which he is not.
Yeah, we're like, Here Come the Rebel. You know, like it's like where if it was genuine that they thought that if it was coming from a genuine place, that like grammatical error rather, I think it would work better. But Here Come the Rebel from Glenn Hughes, like, you know,
Yeah.
maybe he's just being rebellious about his grammar. I don't know. I'm really just, I can't figure out what that bang bang bang. It's really reminding me of something that I can't think of because Here Come the Rebel is going on in my head. But anyway,
Well,
what do you think of
wait a minute. You just well, you know, you said Robert Palmer, but I know that's not it because it's just like Simply Irresistible. No, 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 no. But I mean,
where the money went.
Or the other one. What was the
Addicted to Love?
Might as well be that you're addicted to love. dun, 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 dun. I think it's just because it's a bluesy riff. It sounds like a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
I think that you're kind of you're kind of on par with the Robert Palmer thing, but I think it's not exactly what we're both thinking about.
Mm.
I think it sounds most like something else, and we're not. Well, it'll come to us later.
Yeah. The standard late night text, and we'll be like, "Damn it! Why couldn't we think of it at the time?" Or
Yeah.
everyone yelling at their podcast machines right now. All right,
Mm.
what do you think of "Here Come the Rebel"?
All right, so I'm going to give it a 2.5. This
All right.
is my this is the first of what I'm sure will be a few LBS, lazy blues songs. I'm calling it now. I'm making up an
LBA,
acronym for it.
Lazy Blues album.
LBS, lazy blues. So no, this is no, this is a IBA, inaccurate blues album.
Inaccurate.
They should have called it something else. But yeah, this is the. I mean, it's a hooky kind of riff, and you can tell that they're using the kind of a twangy sounding pickup for it, to get that sound. But then, like, again, the solo is just this ripping kind of like rock solo. And yeah, it's like, I think it's just them, trying to write a blues song.
Yeah.
Nothing outstanding about it, really.
I'll give it a 3. I liked it a little bit better than that, but yeah, it was. I mean, everything you said, nothing crazy. So, all right, next track up is called "What Can I Do for Ya."
Play the blues.
Ooh, starting with a drum solo. Wow. Oh, John, that's close. That's close to what you were predicting.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh boy. Oh God.
It's like, it reminds me of one of those songs that would be like on a Saigon Kick album, and it would be called like Blues Song or something. You're like, yeah, we get it, the blues.
Saigon Kick. Yeah, this is big time LBS.
Yeah. But it makes me wonder, since this album has an executive producer, which you don't see very often on albums, right? It's usually a producer, but you don't see a credited executive producer. So I wonder if there was that direction being given that like these have to be bluesy songs, and they kind of took it in a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cool double track vocal there.
Oh.
Did he say play the blues for you?
What can I do for you? I can play the blues for you. It's like, oh God. It's like I just hate blues albums where they talk about the blues. Yes.
No, I'm talking about.
Now, what you can do for me is sing "Burn" for me.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yep. All the
It's like
classic tricks. Guitar solo. See?
No. This reminds me of that scene in Adventures in Babysitting. Nobody leaves this place without singing the blues.
Now, who's the guitar solo in this?
Oh, this one is Ritchie Kotzen. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. I just remember being in bands and being like, let's do a blues song, and you would do like something like this, you know?
Yeah.
Because you learned it in your Mel Bay book at guitar lessons or whatever.
I mean, it's fun. It's like, it's fun to do it, but it's not fun to listen back to.
What is that?
What? Please say pow pow.
Is he pretending to fight somebody? I don't know if that's in the lyrics sheet here. Yeah, this is like every little blues trope. It's like when you do a song like this, it's like I hesitate to even say you wrote it. Like it's like it's a 1-4-5 progression. Like who wrote this? Who knows? But it's just been people have been playing this for 100 years.
Exactly. Just give writing credit to like everybody. Like I should be getting a check for this. For residuals. Hey, look, 3 cents. From the LA Blues Authority.
Yeah, we just due to an accounting error. This check needs to be cashed in 90 days or it's void.
Oh no, my 3 cents.
Yeah, it's like who gets credit for this? It's just true. There's truly no way to say who first did the don't. No. It's.
I don't know, Swamp Ass Jones or.
I'm gonna say this is. They owe money to Scrapper Blackwell for this one, or Barbecue Bob.
Are these real people? I don't even know.
They could be. Hard to tell with old blues men.
I think I heard the Premarital Sextet do this once.
Premarital Sextet.
That was from The Simpsons. I just remembered it. Oh.
All right. John, what can you do for me?
I can give it a 2 for you. No, actually, I'll give it a little higher. I'll give it a 2.5 for you.
All right.
Yeah, middle of the road. I mean, I don't hate the blues progression, but I mean, it's just like, god damn, it's just so boring.
Well, I think you need to do it. And I think when this came up early on in the show when we were listening to some of the early Deep Purple albums, and it's not exclusive to Deep Purple, but I think the things that the blues songs, or the lazy blues songs as we call them usually, that were the best were ones that you didn't, if you weren't thinking about it, you didn't even realize they were doing 1-4-5, you know,
right?
Or because they did something, they contributed something else to the song that was interesting in a way that it wasn't until you analyze it you say, oh yeah, this is just a standard blues thing. And I think a lot of people do that really well and have done that really well. This is not an example of where it's done super well. It's just kind of, yes, this is what you do when you want to put together a blues song. If you got up on stage with any other musicians you'd never played with before and just started going dun 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 dun, everyone would start playing. Everyone would know this is the part where it's gonna go dun 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 dun. You know, you could, and you'd all just lock in and start playing along with very minimal or few mistakes. And that's fine. Right. That's one of the beautiful things about this sort of thing. But does it?
But I mean, to commit it to an album and say it's like your song, you know, and you could just get up on stage with like 12 other people and be like, "All right, we're gonna do this in the key of A," you know?
Yeah, exactly. Or
then it's
one of those universal songs everyone knows or everyone can figure out, or like some Jimi Hendrix songs that you could jump up on stage and everyone kind of knows the basic patterns to them, and obviously a lot of that is rooted in the blues. But
Oof. Oh
yeah,
my God. Yeah. That's uh, like quick sidebar. There was a what was it? The G3
hmm
thing, because you were talking about everybody jumping up on stage. It was like Steve Vai, Zach Wild, Nuno Betancourt. It was one of these. It was like a few years ago, and it was Steve Vai and a bunch of other shredders, and they were like, I can't remember which Jimi Hendrix song it was, but I mean, when I tell you that it went on, like everybody took a solo, and especially Zach Wild, they went on for an obscene amount of time where I was just like, this sucks. Like, I wasn't even like, I'm getting tired of this. I'm just like, this is just like, I'm bored right now. Like, this isn't even music anymore. This is like terrible,
yeah,
because it's just like, it was more about the show, what I mean? It was like, because at one point he was like Zach Wild was soloing so much, he was like running into the crowd and everything. And it's like, if you play back a tape of it, you'd be like Ian Gillan with the Born Again album. You'd be toss it out the window in disgust. So, and I mean, it was something like, which,
the
I don't
fire
know.
or something, or Purple Haze.
Yeah, one of those. I
It's
can't
got to be
remember.
like one of the standards.
Yeah, I can't remember offhand, but it was definitely like a Jimi Hendrix song where it's like, at that point you're just like, all right, this is just like ruining it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, less is less. more
Yes.
more is too much.
More is way too
So
much. Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely a less is more. It's just like you season the roast too much, and it's going to be a little too salty.
hmm Zach
So,
was a little too salty.
but anyways, yeah, that's what this type of thing is basically. Is just like, it doesn't need to really exist.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2.5 as well. It's like, I mean, there's nothing, it's like nothing I can say about it beyond the fact that it's just kind of neutral. It's there. It's like, yep, we get it, but yeah, I don't think it adds anything to the blues formula. And I think if you're doing a blues, and one of my favorite blues artists is um, uh, Robert Cray,
Hmm.
because he's so the opposite. He's very melodic. He's a fantastic singer, which really makes a difference. He's a phenomenal guitar player, but I feel like his songs are almost poppy, or they have like this melodic element to them that you don't hear in just like standard run of the mill blues. And I think
Hmm.
that's another really cool thing is you listen to one of his albums and you don't get the sense like, he'll do these really dynamic things and these great guitar solos, really emotional musical passages where you really feel what he's playing, because he can just make it, in his voice and in his guitar, he can make it just sound so passionate, and so you can just lock into what he's feeling at the moment. But at no point are you just like, oh, this is just a 145 song, because he's doing interesting things with it, and this is just not that. So,
Yeah.
all right. Next track up is called "You Don't Have to Save Me." And this is another. I think this is. Yeah, Tony Franklin was on the last song, and he's on these next two songs as well.
Who's doing the slide guitar?
DeMartini again.
Wow, he's all over this, huh?
Yep, Mark Kendall does the first solo, DeMartini does the second. But Mark Kendall is throwing in all the fills that you're hearing. This is more what you expect from like a Glenn Hughes rock track.
That's okay.
I kind of like that. yeah, again, this is 1 for 5, but I think it's done a little more interestingly.
Yeah, no, I would say this one's. I like this one.
I like the chorus.
There we go. And I like that he's not like talking about the blues in his lyrics for a change.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Is that him, Glenn Hughes, singing along with the guitar?
I think I heard that too.
He's doing some. I like they kind of took that like little dynamic shift. I guess the LA Blues Authority there must be like some regulation with this, like a minimum number of bass solos that can be on a blues album because they just keep popping them in there.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is just like, what is it? What is like a jazzy fretless bass sound have to do with the blues?
Nothing, but it's cool.
I mean, it sounds to me more like the bass belongs at a jazz song. Not that it sounds bad here, but
no, yeah, it's definitely not.
But like all these bass pyrotechnics don't seem to really belong if you're talking about the blues in a blues song. I know, like I feel like we're being way too hard. We're being way too hard on them. But I mean, I guess if you call your album blues,
yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of it, right? Like,
the whole thing.
Like if this album was called the best fucking album ever, then we'd have to be like, okay, well, get prepared to be poked at a little bit. This song is a little more funky than bluesy, which is totally fine with me. Got some game. I mean, this is not new information, but all right. That is "You Don't Have to Save Me." Oh, it's still, is it like fading back in? It's still kind of going there. It sounded like it faded back in almost a little bit. John, what do you think about "You Don't Have to Save Me"?
You might have to save me from this album.
Uh-oh.
No, this one was actually kind of like this one a little better than the other ones. I give it a 3.5. Right. I like you enjoyed the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guitar fills. I like how they kind of they changed keys there on the solo. I noticed you kind of perked up when they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they just kind of brought it down, and you know, I was thinking they were going to like a more like gentle sort of guitar solo, like a la Mistreated, but then all of a sudden he started doing all this crazy stuff on the bass.
Yeah,
like boom, boom. He's doing all this weird.
It's awesome. Like. Yeah, I mean it's cool. It's very cool. Some of those things, and I mean when Franklin's playing bass there, you know, you can definitely hear it, and it makes the song sound really good. You know, it makes them pop. No pun intended. But What?
Boomstank. Remember when Dave used to do that?
Boomstank. Yeah,
He called
boomstank.
boomstank. That was what we called slapping and popping boomstank.
But yeah, this one was definitely a little bit above the other ones too. Plus, I feel like it flowed better. It had a theme. You don't have to save me, which kind of goes with I'm guessing his whole um, being reborn, finding himself again, but not talking about very obviously about what the theme of the song is.
Yeah, I'm also giving it 3.5. Actually, really like the song. Love the chorus, and I agree. I mean, to me, it's I'm sure when you're dealing with the depths of addiction, um, your loved ones are going to come around you and feel like they have to help you and save you, and in a lot of cases, the only person that can do that is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
People can help, of course, but ultimately, if you're not willing to accept that and or willing to put in the work to get yourself cleaned up, then it's just never going to happen. And it's kind of, to me, it sounds like him saying to the world, or maybe to some of his specific loved ones, that like you don't have to save me anymore because I'm saving myself. And it's kind of I really like that sentiment, and that the power that he's delivering those lyrics with. And like you said, he's not saying singing about the blues. He's singing heartfelt lyrics about what his struggle he's going through in a blues context, and I think it works really well in this song.
Or in this case, maybe he is singing the blues like correctly, which is not saying, "Hey, I'm singing the blues."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the guy's like, yeah, the great bluesmen of years past, the Sleepy John Estez's and the Ethel Finneys and Blind Boy Fuller. They're not saying, "Oh, I'm singing the blues because wouldn't this be fun? Like, wouldn't this be a cool thing to sing the blues?" They're singing the blues because they're like living in a one room house with 8 other people on the bayou, and
Mhm.
don't have any indoor plumbing and or no money and no job. That they actually do have the blues. They're living it, and this is his legitimate blues that he was living and dealing with. So it comes across well. Um, okay. The final track we're going to get into in today's episode is a song called So Much Love to Give. This is like Hendrixy sort of blues. I like it. This was what he said was his favorite ballad
Okay.
on the song. Co-written with Craig Eriksen and Tony Franklin on bass.
Who's our guitar players here?
This must be Craig Eriksen, because there's nobody else listed.
Okay.
Won't you sit yourself down and ease your mind? Got to hold on, my love. I will treat you kind.
So it's got that bluesy sort of Little Wing, Catch the Rainbow kind of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I've got so much love to give. Let me kiss you again. What will be will be. Let me love you and then.
And again, it's bluesy, but it's not hitting you over the head with the progression like some of the other songs. I think so far, Craig Eriksen is the best blues guitar player that we've heard. He's like, it's really coming across.
So much love.
fretless run there. But it is an interesting sound, having that fretless sound on a blues song.
Yeah.
Oh, hear me, Lord. Oh, yeah.
A very trebly sound on that guitar too, like you mentioned earlier.
Now I ask you, my Lord.
That was like a very like, I don't know if it was the fretless or the way that sounded. It was very like Pink Floyd-y, Shine on You Crazy Diamond kind of sound that just ended that guitar solo.
Okay, yeah.
You gave me water so that I could live, and I've got so much love to give. Oh, so much to give.
I think overall these songs are probably just a little too long.
Yeah. I was
They're all
thinking
like
that about like 2 minutes ago.
Yes, and it's still going, but it's a 64-minute album, and these songs are all 5.5 to 6 minutes long for the most part.
So much love to give. And I've got so much love to give.
Very long fade out there, but there you have it. That is So Much Love to Give. Now we have so many ratings to give. John, what do you think of So Much Love to Give?
I have so many 2.5s to give. I feel like I'm not going to stop giving them. This was okay. I mean, I'll be honest, it was a bit of a slog to listen to it. It was just like, ugh. But I will say that, I mean, it had a nice melody.
Mm-hmm.
Hughes, of course, as always, sings well. And I do agree with you, as the guitar was the kind of the bluesiest so far that has been on the album. It did kind of have that, like you said, that Pink Floyd-y type of sound to it, but it's just like, also there was this kind of like hook in it, this melody that I can't place, but I feel like I've heard it somewhere before. That hook that's in the song, it's catchy, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's not, for lack of a better word, very original.
Yeah.
Like, not like it was stolen or something, but it's like the da na na da na na.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's nice. It's like it elicits a nice response. You're just kind of like, oh, that's nice. But I feel like it was, done somewhere else, or maybe it's, maybe it's a
Yeah, it's
run
like
or something
it's
like
like
that.
ascending up whole steps and then going on a scale and then going back down to the note before it and then going up and down and
Yeah,
but ultimately ascending and kind of creates that tension. And he matched it with the guitar solos too, like bending his notes up into each one of the ascending parts. But it's like, again, that's kind of like a Little Wing, Catch the Rainbow sort of thing. And it's not a 1-4-5 progression, but it's something else that can kind of work out really bluesy.
yeah. It was all right, but I would say just pretty standard, pretty average.
Yeah. I'll give it a 3. I liked it a little bit more than that. But yeah, I kind of agree with everything else that you're saying. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. Which means we're wrapping up the first section of this album.
Ooh.
Here I was thinking it'd be a short episode. Well, I guess it'll be a little shorter than normal. But that means we have to do something very important before we move on, and that is, of course, to thank our foundation level patrons. And coming in at the 3-pound aromatic feed tier, we have, of course, Simon Ford. At the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we have Stephen Sharp and Duncan Leask. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Mark Roback, Ian DeRosier, Stuart McCord. Then we have Ivan Fieldboo, Runar Simonson, JJ Stenard, Ruinous Inadequacies, John Maselli,
Oh, you know so great.
Horny
And-
bastard.
Michael Boyette, and Corey Morissette from And the Podcast Will Rock, among other things. At the $1.71 I Want My Own tier, we have
Rich, Yangui, Shaylor.
Something that'll make you rich.
Who the hell is that?
At the 10 kroner tier, we have Karsten Lau. At the £1 tier, we have Lord Longford. At the $1 made-up name tier, we have the You Don't Have to Save Me Anymore Because I'm Dead, Leaky Mausoleum. At the Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel,
Blackmore tights.
and Steve Down to Earth Kohler. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right, here we are, halfway through the LA Blues Authority album. This show was brought to you by after we got a permit from the LA Blues Authority to share it with you today. So thank you very much.
Yep. We got all the necessary permits to continue.
You know, all the permits. We paid off everyone that we need to pay off to grease the palms that needed to be greased. And,
Yeah, especially Greasy Palm Wilson over there.
Greasy Palm. Hey, that was a famous blues man. Greasy Palm Wilson. That's right.
And he talked like this.
I love his stuff. All right, John. Well, I guess we'll be meeting up next week to do it all over again. Well, not this part. The second half of
The second half, maybe. We
It's
probably
going to
won't.
take a huge turn, John. The second half's going to be amazing.
It's going to be way bluesier next time.
And it's like, it's like, this is an album I would put on every so often. It's not, there's nothing objectionable about it, but yeah, it's.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, over the years, there are like a couple of songs I think I've listened to off of this just because I'm like, oh, I remember that album, but I haven't heard the whole thing in forever. So.
Yep. And I don't think I've ever. Nothing is ringing a bell so far. So. All right, John. And everybody, we will see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.